Today, I'm so excited to be speaking to Dr. Priscilla Nelson, who is on the faculty here in the Hershen School of Education. I consider her our local historian in some ways because she has a storied history here at Gordon College. Dr. Nelson, can you tell us what brought you to Gordon College?
I'd love to. Actually, I came to Gordon College as an 18-year-old elementary education major back in the 70s. And it's really interesting to think about what was happening then and how it has really been a thread right up to today when I'm still here. Back in the 1970s, when Dr. Winifred Curry was our reading professor, she had come from the mission field. She had been in several countries in Africa and had a real passion for teaching children to read. And she brought that passion with her when she came back stateside. And in particular, she had an interest in children who had learning disabilities. And so if you think back, it was in the mid-70s that we first had the legislature, that came into law, that children who had a learning disability would attend school and their needs would be met. And she was really laying the groundwork for that with us. And while she was here, she had completed her doctorate at Boston University studying with Dr. Janine Chall, whose name we still hear. And she had us read material by Dr. Chall. And for this area, what's interesting is it's when Dr. Drake was just starting the Landmark School in Beverly Farms. So there was a lot happening, then, and that history's really continued.
Wow, that's amazing that the timing of those things are happening in the 1970s. It makes me curious as an educator and as someone who's actually teaching a policy course, what were they seeing in the field that led to this acknowledgement and consideration about inclusion and actually attending school? I know there were so many other civil rights moments at the time, but what were people seeing? I mean, what were we doing at the time before that, and then what were we actually seeing?
Yeah, so let's think right about what was happening in schools. So there were children who had a learning disability who could not get what they needed in school. So parents were left to find a way. What are we going to do? Do we try to find another school, a private school that would take them? Do we get them tutoring outside of school? And you can just imagine what that was like for school districts. If they could not provide that, well, it was going to cost money. It was going to mean doing things a little differently. And we know that change in education can be very slow. And so as people were reading more of the research and saying, what's going to happen, we need to make some changes. So it's interesting that at that time here on campus, there was a reading clinic. It was in one of the roadhouses. And Dr. Curry ran the reading clinic, and there were children from local public schools. For the most part, parents paid extra for the children to come and get tutoring 2 or 3 times a week. In some cases, schools would pay that, which now I wonder, how did that happen? Because what was in place for that? I don't know. Wish I had asked that question at the time. And so when the schools district said, wait a minute, this is not right. This is not how we do education. So it took many years for that to really shift. It really took a law to make it shift because schools said, no, we have to stop what we're doing, reevaluate, reorganize, and make this work. So there was no longer a need for the reading clinic.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, on one hand,
yeah,
we want to see that there is policy to support what we think is a necessary aim in education. Mm-hmm. But however, Gordon also has a remarkable reputation around reading science, right? So was this still a continuation of that work even though the reading clinic went away?
So let's fast forward quite a few years, and we have reading clinic again. Now, it's not a reading clinic, it's reading clinic. So in our master's program, where the students spend a year really getting ready to provide, as a reading specialist, to provide specialized instruction. So they're diagnosing, they're remediating, evaluating, assessing, so on. It's happening in schools, and the way it happens is the students, the college students who are getting their master's degree, identify students who have come to them and said, we need more help, we need more practice, whatever. And then outside of school hours, they are getting free tutoring by these college master's candidates, and it's called Reading Clinic. So it's still happening, but it's supporting what's going on in schools. So no doubt these children are getting services in their schools, but there's a way for them to get even more service.
That's so great. And I know that there is an International Dyslexia Association that has recognized Gordon's work. Can you say more about what brought that about?
Yeah, so the International Dyslexia Association is the landmark. You know, it's got a history, a long history, and a very highly regarded organization. And so they have a program where a school, college can apply to be certified by them. And so Gordon decided, we're working really hard, we think we're doing the right stuff. It wasn't just that we wanted their stamp, but we also thought, here's an opportunity for those people who know a lot, have a lot of experience, to give us feedback on what we're doing. And so we put our program, we laid out our program for them, and there was some conversation back and forth. Have you looked at this? Let's tweak this. And they awarded us the Certification Plus, is what it's called, and we're one of 2 colleges in Massachusetts that has it. I'm not sure what the number is now nationally. Not that long ago, there were 27 colleges, but I think we're up to the 40s, which I'm thrilled to say that there are more colleges being recognized as teaching, the science of reading.
Well, I think that's so much to be proud of, and we are so happy that you have been here participating in that experience. Do you have any advice or encouragement for teachers entering the field now? I know it's very different than back then, but what are your thoughts and hopes you want to share with them?
I would say, boy, we need teachers. We need good teachers, well-prepared teachers. And I think for those who are beginning to think about, do I want to become a teacher, I would say research very carefully. Ask the questions about how you're going to be prepared. Are you going to be prepared to teach all children? Because some children in learning to read, they're told once they've got it, that's great. Some need it 5 times, some need it 50, some need it 500. It's not their fault. And as teachers, we need to be prepared to deliver that. So I would definitely encourage people to go into the field. There's never a dull moment. It's just always changing. And, after almost 50 years in this field, I would choose it again tomorrow. It's just a great.
Well, I think that's the best encouragement I've heard. So that's amazing and fascinating, and we are so grateful for your service here at Gordon. I hope that this was an encouraging conversation to our future educators and also a little bit of Gordon history you might not have known. So thank you.